what is it like to feel overwhelmed? What is that?
Oh, big question. I think fundamentally it comes down to feeling in control. And there are lots of different levels when it comes to overwhelm. I think there has to be a certain amount of overwhelm because that's just us taking a moment to, oh, this is feeling a bit much. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and figure out what you're going to do to make things easier for yourself. Is that getting some help? Is that looking at the situation from a different perspective? Those are the kind of the basic feelings of overwhelm. And then you've got the other end of burnout. And that's what you need to become more self-aware to ensure that you don't get to burnout. And I guess I was one of those people that thought burnout would not happen to me. Even when it happened and I started confiding in some friends, they were like, no way. Like everyone saw me as that person that had it all together on the surface. So it was a little bit of a shock to hit that point. And for me, that meant feeling like I was in a fog, incapable of making decisions. And I'm usually very decisive. And that, again, I don't want to kind of say exactly what it is because everyone experiences things in different ways. But for me, it was just going through a period of just feeling a bit like a zombie, to be honest. And I just needed to pull myself out of that because even though I was in quite this low state, I still had these ambitions and I didn't want to give up on that. So it was really having to take a step back and go, okay, what's working, what isn't, how do I make some changes to pick myself up and get back on track?
That's a good explanation because as you're explaining that to me, a few scenarios in my own life have come up. And I remember one vividly where I felt, and I'll let you comment as this is a form of feeling overwhelmed, is I felt I was losing control of certain things that I always had a strong control over.
Mm.
And by that, I mean, it's when I was gearing up to start my own business 2 years ago, well, 2.5 years ago now, um, I was relying on other people to realize my dream. And as I was doing that, I began to lose control of a dream that I always had. And it was interesting looking back because you realize no one should ever have the power to take your dream from you or to at least you're wrestling control over. And when I took a step back and I said, wait a minute, Turin, what are you doing? This is what you want to do. You've always had control. Your thoughts are playing a factor in this because I think when we start to feel overwhelmed, we start to think, maybe I can't do this.
Mm.
Maybe this is too daunting of a task. Maybe, and I think this is the destroyer of so many dreams. Maybe I'm going to fail. And if I do fail, how are people going to view me?
Yeah.
Do you think that's forms of overwhelmed as you described it? Because that's what it is to me.
Yeah. You articulated that so well. So what in the 9 steps that I've built to get someone out of overwhelm is the first thing is we start with you, we start with the mindset, because everything begins with you, and it's that level of self-belief. So that's the first thing, is like building your self-belief back up, looking at all the things you have achieved in the past, all the things you've overcome as well, because there's a lot of strength that comes from those situations. And then we tackle that inner voice. We all have it and we don't talk about it enough. We're our own worst enemy. In fact, when you do something silly, the way you can beat yourself up, you wouldn't talk to your worst enemy the way you talk to yourself sometimes.
That's
So
right.
that's a huge element, is taking control of yourself before you start to control other things. And life becomes a lot easier when you get that piece under control, definitely.
When you mentioned the 9 steps, right, to help those who overcome this, is that how personal to you are those 9 steps, and how much of your own experiences, maybe as someone that was dating, that eventually became a wife, someone that was a wife and then eventually became a mother, or all three combined? Like, how much of your own personal experiences and your values, I guess, are in those 9 steps that that you have created?
It's within everything. I couldn't even pinpoint areas. I made a I've always been into self-development and been very curious about how the mind works, and why some succeed and some don't. So it was something I always was reading and very interested in. But I took a big shift, I'd say in 2015, to then, instead of just reading the books, actually going on the courses and immersing myself in everything to do with self-development. And this has come from my own experiences of taking all of the best bits from all of the different courses, the books, the tools. So everything has a tool to it. Some of it I've built, some of it is something that I found works very, very effectively. So if it isn't broken, don't fix it. But it's just putting all of these pieces together, and then I've tested it with loads of different people as well, and taken feedback and run masterminds to just really build the sequence of events that I feel needs to happen to ensure that it's a permanent change. Because we can all do something for 4 to 6 weeks. That's the easy part. It's making sure that we are consistent with it, moving forward.